it's lights out and away we go.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the GT UK F1 podcast. I'm joined by my co-host, David.
Good eye.
So what are we? Race 3?
3. I don't know, it feels like we've had one hell of a long season and we're only just to the end of March.
Yeah, it's race 3 in Australia. How I don't envy the Australians and anybody else that has to get up really early to watch.
But to be fair, it's just what the Australians have to do the rest of the year, isn't it? So,
Well, yeah, I suppose. I mean, we do have Japan coming up as well, and then China, and oh God. It's a weird calendar this year, but this one may be a bit of a shorter podcast. I didn't see practice. I don't think David did.
I only saw Baker, like, unfortunately, just due to hours working and stuff like that.
And in terms of qualifying, I didn't manage to catch it, but I only managed to catch from Q2.
Yeah, it's easy up to lead on quite. Literally, I watched a highlight reel of it, and that's about it. So,
But from looking, obviously we have the results in front because we kind of need them if we. I mean, to be honest, what I am actually gonna say to do with even Q1 looking at this, have RB made the correct choice still?
wow, are you going to be the one to start on the Danny Ricciardo here? You normally leave that one to me.
It's not that. I like Danny Ricciardo, you know I do.
Oh, I have nothing against the guy. I've not been afraid to say what I think on the situation, and heck, I think so far I've not been proven overly wrong.
Yeah, but this is the thing, he's not performing, and I can't understand why.
Especially considering this was like his home Grand Prix, his home crowd.
Because even if you go, like I say, look back at previous races, what, 14th? Yuki outdid him. Yuki got into the points.
Mm.
You know, and then did Yuki get into the points?
I think Yuki at the moment is on a real good run. I think he's starting to realise.
Well, the first race it was 13th and 14th between the two.
Yeah.
Then yet again, no, 15th, 16th for that. But then Yuki actually got into the points, and it's like, yeah, you know, they made this big thing of, oh yeah, you know, let's get Danny Rick back into that car, and it's like he's not performing. I mean,
Yeah, this year the car, I mean, last year the car really wasn't there, which didn't help either of them. This year it's not looking as bad a package as some of the others.
no, but they just can't seem to perform. I mean, you know, obviously Sauber or another one that, yeah, I don't know. Sauber just don't seem to have a good,
They say they have good wheel nuts.
well, yeah. Alpine, it just seems that Haas, Sauber, and RB are kind of underperforming.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, I'd throw Alpine into that. Sauber Alpine, yeah.
I did say Alpine. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you'd expect more. I mean, I think RB especially, considering Red Bull, the best of the Red Bull feeder team, and right now, if Max or Perez did walk away at the end of this season, I don't think either of them two drivers are really suitable for that car.
no.
And I know Danny Rick's been there once, but let's remember he's been there once.
So was Albon. That's the thing. Albon had been there as well.
And I think right now he's looking possibly like a better bet.
Well, you could argue the fact that you could bring Lawson back.
That's where my first part. As I said before, I'd put him into the RB, not straight into the main race. I think dropping a new guy straight into the flagship car is a bold strategy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'd say, yeah, put him into the RB for a season, see how he does.
Yeah. But the problem is, half the time, we can sit here and say, oh yeah, the drivers are underperforming, but it could be the car. But to be honest, I personally feel like that Danny Rick will go back into the reserve role at the end of this season if he doesn't improve.
I would think, yeah.
I mean, okay, yes, okay. Obviously, people are going to be like, oh, well, he had that injury. And it's like, yes, he had the hand injury. He's probably still recovering from that. But, I mean, if you want a real story here, Sainz had his appendix out.
A fortnight ago, yeah.
Yeah. And he's performing.
He's performing like a driver who's trying to get another job.
Yeah.
Because I am so amazed he couldn't. I'd have had to pass some comment in that race. From the two drivers, the driver that's replacing him's retired, and the guy you're keeping can't catch him.
I know. But yeah, so Q1 it seems a mixed bag, really.
I think Danny Rick had a late lap deleted, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
I think he had got up a little higher and then had a lap time deleted, which dropped him back down. I think that kept K-Mag in.
Yeah. Well, K-Mag was 14, so the only one was Ocon. I mean, Ocon managed to get through to Q2. The Aston Martins are a very mixed bag as well.
They had, by all standards, a good weekend up until the final lap. Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll come on to that during the race, but...
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Yuki managed to get... That's the thing. Again, going back to RB, Yuki managed to outperform Danny Rick. I mean, okay, I think Yuki's got something to prove. Yuki is trying to prove himself.
Because like I say, he knows the way things are going. There's going to be more people coming through. If he doesn't start performing, he's going to find himself out of a job.
Yeah.
Especially as I've said it before, I'll say it again now. I'm pretty wrong, but the fact that he's a Japanese driver and they are still Honda engines, I don't know. I know it may say different on the side, but...
No, RB Honda.
So keeping a Japanese driver in a Honda car is always going to keep the manufacturer happy.
Yeah.
Once Red Bull go to Ford, and I'm assuming RB are going to follow suit.
Well, I'd imagine so, because if it's Red Bull powertrain, so...
Then suddenly that desire to keep a Japanese driver in the car does diminish quite a bit.
Yeah. But...
I could be wrong, but knowing how these companies like to work and how.
Yeah, but who are they going to bring? Ford are an American based. Who the hell are they going to bring in that would be American to fit?
Well, there's nobody right now. It's the sergeant, and I still don't fully understand why he's in F1. But well, he wasn't this race.
Yeah, I kind of don't understand what the hell went on with Williams.
Basically,
I know Albon had a
Williams-
massive smash.
Albon was in practice, and basically just due to budget constraints, Williams didn't have a spare car with him this weekend. Didn't have a spare chassis,
Oh, right, okay.
and Albon's chassis was so badly damaged in that crash it couldn't be repaired at the track.
I mean, I'd heard
So
that obviously it was that badly damaged you could put your finger through it.
I didn't heard all of that. I saw the press release by James Vowles,
Mm.
and he sort of said he'd have to go back to the factory for repairs
Oof.
because it's that badly damaged they can't do anything with it.
And, you know, it's like,
And obviously Williams understand that they weren't going to get any points with Sargent because I'm sorry, the chances were pretty remote.
well, yeah. And this is the thing. It seems odd. I know they've gambled on Sargent, but
He must be bringing in really good money from somewhere.
well, yeah.
That's all I can say. He must be bringing in he must have a seriously good backer. Probably once again, it's probably kind of like we said there. Probably a American, most probably one or two American companies behind him.
Yeah. Well, it's like,
I mean, any American company you don't want to invest in Haas.
well, yeah. Well, it's like, oh God. Bottas's teammate. Why am I not being able to pronounce his name? I usually can.
Zhao,
Yeah, Guan Yu Zhou.
Guan Yu Zhou.
It's like he's got serious money behind him.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of the drivers have. They've always known that Perez brings a lot of money in. I reckon Danny Rick must.
Yeah.
That's got to be the overriding reason why he's keeping that drive. He must have good sponsorship, good backing.
Yeah.
And in the cost cap era, when teams are doing everything they can to keep money coming in.
Yeah. I mean, it seems weird because like I said, I watched back one of the old Drive to Survive episodes. It was the one where the Grosjean incident.
Yeah.
And K-Mag was there. You know, K-Mag was in Haas back then.
Yeah.
And
You forget how long some of these drivers. I've told you before.
That's what I
still
mean.
remember when we looked at the 2005 grid, wasn't it? And there was actually a bit of crossover, more than you'd first think. With a lot of older drivers still in the sport, weird.
Yeah, but it was like the
way
fact,
it's gone.
you know, it was like the fact that Albon was in the Red Bull at that point, and obviously K-Mag was there, and then obviously K-Mag had, was it a year or 2 years?
He had at least one out. I think it might have just been one. Meanwhile, Hulkenberg was everybody's reserve driver.
He was super sub.
Yeah.
But even he's not performing. He doesn't.
It's the Haas car. The Haas car seems very hit and miss.
Yeah.
If the Haas car turns up well, both those drivers are capable of good results. But the car just seems to have a real knack to not showing up on race days. It's a great qualifying car, but it seems to lack. It's either not good on managing tyres.
Was anybody this weekend?
Hey, and I said, I personally, I love that. I think make it so every race is like that. Make the tyres not last. Make the teams think about what they're doing.
Well, they had to, didn't they? I mean,
It's good. To me, that's a positive thing. You know, I don't want it to be an easy start to finish. Let's go.
So why? Oh, right, yeah. Okay, I'll come on to that in a minute. McLaren had a solid.
McLaren are performing right now. McLaren are, well, after this week, before this weekend, I'd have almost put them as second best team, but I don't think they're that far behind Ferrari. I think there's a very close fight to go on there.
Well, yeah.
As it appears, Ferrari have hired actual strategists this year.
Oh, yeah.
And not just the clowns they had in previous years.
I
mean, I still think they've done, like I said, and just hired the guys who orchestrated the Le Mans win.
Yeah.
Just go and get them and bring them over here.
I mean, the quite a bit of a shocker was Q2. Well,
Hamilton.
Hamilton going out.
Yeah. That merge just isn't working, is it? And the trouble is, they thought they brought quite a big development upgrade this weekend.
But it worked for Russell.
No, I still didn't say they didn't have an amazing race. It's still not, I'm sure, where they want to be or where they think they should be.
No. I mean,
do we also have a little bit of Hamilton checking out at this point?
I don't know, because that's what I'm wondering.
I wouldn't actually have said it, much I don't like him. He's never struck me as, he doesn't know, that wouldn't be his normal style.
No. But like I said, it just makes me wonder, is he like, well, I'm going to Ferrari when I've given up?
Well, that Ferrari looks right now to be a pretty, actually monumentally good package. Especially when in the hands of the driver they've sacked.
Yeah. Which is the wrong choice. Which is the way I feel.
I do.
Like I say, I'm not the biggest Hamilton fan, but that isn't the reason that I'm quite shocked at why Ferrari have done what they've done. Sainz is performing, and he's proved it.
Told you, he's a man. He's putting his CV out there for the world to see. Look, he's even made himself lighter to try and make himself appeal more to other teams.
Yeah, but the car got ballasted.
That's dedication to the cause, is that?
But it's just... It was a very mixed bag during qualifying.
Yeah.
Okay, you had Perez, who qualified third, but then got a
penalty
for impeding Hülkenberg.
Something like that, yeah.
And it's just like, I get it, the stewards and everything, they're on top of shit this year a bit more, but is it, is this the whole, are they going against Red Bull? I'm not starting that stupid shit. I'm not going to start that stupid rumour, but,
Can anyone else hear his tinfoil hat rustling, or is it just me?
But Leclerc, yet again, even Leclerc didn't have a good qualifying.
I think he had a solid qualifying. I just think he was fully outperformed by Carlos.
As per usual. And, like I said, the Aston Martin's good. Albon, yeah, he's doing as best as he frigging can.
With a car that still isn't great, and Williams
wasn't his chassis.
It would have been a little bit of a kick if he'd have gone and wrecked that one as well, though.
Oh, it would have been, yeah. I mean, I heard a rumor. I don't know if it's true. Did Bottas get made a Australian citizen?
I don't know. There was a lot of stuff flying around. You saw that thing I put in the group chat, no doubt. I put in the group chat, I sent it to you.
No, you put it in the group chat.
The one about the Uber driver.
Oh,
I'm really growing to like Bottas. He's taking over almost the Kimi role.
I know, but then I really don't want to see Bottas in Speedos again. If anybody hasn't seen this by now, search Bottas Uber.
Dude, if I send you the actual video, well, I don't know if you'll see it on our socials, that was infringing copyright, but
It'll be infringing. Oh my god. Yeah.
but yeah, it was quite funny.
Oh. But it was just, like I say, I never want to see Bottas in Speedos again. Oh. When you said it, I just went, what the fuck? And then it was like,
And
as soon as that bit happened, it was like, David, what the fuck?
it was literally, because I think I was just scrolling Facebook Reels or something like that,
Oh.
and it came up.
But yeah, no. That's what I'd heard. And yeah, so shall we get into the race?
Probably, at least I need something we both actually saw.
Oh, that was it. Guan Yu Zhou ended up having to start the back because of
I think he said from the pit lane in the end, didn't he?
yeah, pit lane because he had to change his wing and it wasn't a like for like spec.
Yeah, because the wing, he hit a curb and the wing just folded.
Yeah.
But the thing was, he didn't exactly, the way it felt, certainly on video, it didn't look like he hit the curb in any weird fashion.
Mm.
But the front wing just gave up. I'm guessing they didn't have any more of that particular model number in stock.
Not. So, yeah, we come to the start of the race and it's like, yeah. Everything seemed fine.
No.
You know, the whole usual Max gets away, Carlos hot on his heels, Norris hot on his heels, and Leclerc hot on Norris's heels, and then Piastri hot on Leclerc's
There's a lot of heels involved in it.
And then obviously Perez and George, you know. And, you know, everything seemed fine. I was thinking, oh yeah, Max probably going to win this. And then I saw blue smoke, and I was like, oh, yeah. I think that Red Bull just had an engine failure.
You had the same thought as me. I'm there thinking, I'm sure that, one bank of that V6 has just let go.
Yeah. And it was
and then I remembered, they've got a single central exhaust now.
Mm. But the smoke wasn't coming from where the exhaust is.
No.
And it was
I had the exact same thought at first.
And I was thinking, but didn't that Red Bull have a new power unit? It was like, shit. And I instantly thought, well, there's my fantasy league gone dope this one already.
No, I got really lucky in that. We'll come to when we get to that bit.
And I was like, and then next minute, you saw fire at his back tyre.
Well, the next thing I got to was when the frigging, it must have been part of the brake exploded as he was coming into the pit lane. I actually thought the tyre had let go, but the tyre still seemed to be inflated.
Yeah.
It was just about to cross the line, and you just saw this puff of black smoke and this poof.
Yeah.
Hit the barrier.
It was like
I mean,
it was
well,
like
let's.
it was like a Scania V8 driver that who'd ended up having one of the bloody straight pipes with all the smoke coming out, or whatever
But
it
yeah,
is.
it's like let's take to appreciate what this was, because that's the first Red Bull mechanical failure we've seen
Yeah,
in it's got to be over. I think it's probably since Australia.
Australia
Could it be
last
22?
year.
Last year.
Last
Was
year.
it last year? But,
Yeah,
you know, once again, Max has hit 9 consecutive wins. Can't seem to get that 10th.
yeah, and that was his streak. That was one of his streaks gone. Because he
Well,
had
that was it. But like I say, twice now he's had the streak of 9 wins on the bounce. He's never actually managed to hit 10.
no, but is it Curse of Australia for him? Because that's twice, 2 years, like this year and last year, that he didn't. That he ended up having a bloody DNF at
Yeah, but, you know,
Australia.
it's such a rare thing now to have a Red Bull.
Well, didn't he say it was the brake that had stuck?
He reckons, yeah, the brake was stuck on. He said you could feel it before it actually fully failed.
Oh, it wasn't. No, it wasn't last year. Could have been the. No, it was Leclerc that didn't finish last year. Oh, look, George didn't finish last year. Could be 2022 then. Let's have a look. Sorry, I'm just flicking through the. Didn't they
For
say?
the previous years.
Yeah, didn't they say? Yeah, it was. Sorry, yeah, you were right. 2022.
Yeah, so it's been over a year. As far as I can recall. Certainly since Max has had a.
Yeah.
Well, saying that, yes, he was the only person who finished every single race in 2023.
Yeah. Even if he didn't have a great Singapore.
Still finished it.
Oh yeah. But then it was like, it was just. It seems weird how it was only one of the brakes that stuck, and not both.
I mean, this is going back to road cars. I mean, I've had problems with sticking calipers, and that's only ever on one.
Hmm.
Now, I know an F1 brake may look fancy, but they're not actually going to be that different to the ones that are on your road car.
Well, no. I had a
They
cake.
have a lot of different materials.
But it was a cake tin.
Yeah, they have them inside the like tins, but they are just like a standard disc brake assembly under that.
But it seems weird how it was only because he said everything, according to the interview during the race, he said everything was fine until he come off the grid. Not like the formation lap was fine, he said. It was more when he went back to the grid to start.
So yeah, someone's failed, and it's one of those. It happens. You manufacture so many pieces. Occasionally, you make a bad one. It's
Yeah.
let's take a bit of positive out of this. As much as I don't mind Red Bull being the dominant force, it is nice to see that they aren't 100% infallible.
No. And then, the race was obviously carrying on. You knew something was kind of wrong when Sainz managed to just go right
Sainz got past,
him.
yeah. Yeah, you could tell he was struggling with something.
Mm.
Now, like I say, I thought the engine let go. Like I say, I, like you, saw that smoke and instantly assumed
Yeah.
the V6 had given over V6ing, but as I say, and then I remembered, hang on, the exhaust is a single one in the centre these days, not.
But it makes you wonder how much damage has it done. I mean, it shouldn't have got to the engine.
It won't damage any engine. It shouldn't have damaged any gearbox. It's all going to be bodywork. It's going to have melted and mangled everything round that back corner.
Yeah, the suspension.
But the engine and the gearbox are both far enough away from that point that not a lot can transfer. So it should be alright. I mean, luckily I don't think brakes are part of the limited component parts either, are they? So
I don't think so because of
It's purely engine and gearbox, isn't it?
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
suspension, you can basically change as many times as you want,
Yes.
as long as you keep under your cost cap.
Yeah, suspension and brakes will be, well, for safety, brakes
Yeah,
shouldn't
but I mean,
have a limit.
yeah, but I can understand for like pads, but it's like you can basically put fresh calipers on it every race if you want. There's no
Yeah.
limit on those as long as your budget allows you to build them.
And it was just
And it was at that point where I thought, well, this is going to make things a bit more interesting.
yeah. And then like, you know, McLaren.
McLaren. So you don't want to talk about the other big failure of the race first, because chronologically that one happened first.
True. Well, originally what I should have started speaking about was Sargent that obviously couldn't start.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit in the qualifying build. I mean, I fully get Williams. I think it's a little bit of a kick in the face to Sargent,
Well, yeah.
but his performances show that he might need a kick in the face over this kind of thing.
Well, yeah.
And I find it hard to word this in a way that doesn't feel cruel. Because I know how the comments will run, and yes, he could probably outdrive both of us.
Yeah,
But we're not being paid to drive F1 cars here.
No, he could probably outdrive both of us, but
of the 20 drivers on that grid, he's about the 22nd best.
yeah,
I mean, there was that joke went around, wasn't there, after Baku, how Pierre Gasly was driver number 21 in a 20-driver championship.
Yeah.
Because of where the points went.
But it's like sometimes he shows great promise, but then
Trouble is, he's in his
the
second
moment,
season.
he's failing to deliver.
He's in his second season. Now, that great promise is supposed to come in your first season. By your second one, you're supposed to be settling down.
Yeah, well, we kind of have to be careful because if we go back to a certain two Haas drivers that kind of didn't deliver.
Yeah, but that to me is almost makes the problem. I know what you're saying, that to me, but they only got a season. Well, Mick, I guess they got two, didn't he?
Mick got two.
But he's now out of the sport because it didn't work, and
well, he's now with Mercedes and gaining the experience that that he so rightly needs.
But Williams are wanting results. They've brought James Vowles in. They're spending a lot of money on development. They're wanting results, and the trouble is, I don't think they're ever going to get them with Logan.
They're not. They're nowhere near going to get it with Logan Sargent.
Alex is solid, but if he keeps driving like he is, I think he's going to get snapped up by a bigger team.
There is that.
But that to me means they need somebody who, if needs be, can step across and be a number one driver, and I honestly don't believe Logan can.
No, he can't.
There's a lot of good lads in F3, F2, showing a lot of promise.
Yeah. I mean, I missed some of the F2 stuff, so I'm kind of good about that.
We're seeing, because that's the thing, we've got this, we said it before, we've got this little bit of a gap right now with no new drivers and that, but there's a lot of guys at the very top of the F2 game who are just waiting for a chance.
We'll see what happens during silly season then, won't we? I'm looking forward.
Hopefully some good stuff. We're ready for a couple of new guys.
Well, it's not just that though. I'm looking forward to silly season to see who is going to poach. See who's going to get Sainz. That'll be the big talking point for the summer. Will be that.
So yeah, I was just saying, what's your thoughts? I mean, say when you're Carlos Sainz or you're his manager, where do you think you end up next season?
See, I would. I would say either Mercedes or Red Bull, but that's me. Because Aston Martin is a step back.
Yeah.
And anything lower than Aston Martin, what's the point in being in F1?
Well, I must admit, I'm kind of excited because I honestly believe
Apart,
there could be a lot.
McLaren.
Yeah.
But he's been to McLaren.
Yeah. I honestly believe there could be some truth in these links to Audi. I really do. It's not illogical that, his dad has good links with the Audi through the rallying.
Mm.
Now, if that's the case, take a year out in mind, because if you know you've got Audi lined up in 26, personally, I like the Merc idea. Red Bull, if Red Bull this season goes out, I can't see either driver leaving. I can see Max wanting another title, and I can see him liking what Perez is doing enough to
Well, yeah.
keep him there.
Yeah, because...
Merc, we know there's going to be an empty seat. We kind of don't know who's filling it.
Well, that's the thing.
I don't think McLaren would want... Well, McLaren have got Norris signed up till 27. Would you want to dump Piastri out of your seat right now?
Not really.
The lad's showing great potential, great future.
Well, yeah, but like I said, what's the point in putting Sainz back in to somewhere where he's already been? I mean, it's a seat.
I mean, to be fair, if the Audi thing's confirmed, heck, take a year out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If the Audi thing is confirmed as I feel it possibly is, have a gap year.
Well, yeah, look at Alonso.
Yeah.
See,
but that's where I sit on the matter.
Because with, like, there's no point him going back to McLaren because you're only going to kick out Piastri. Even if he goes to Red Bull, the only person you're going to kick out will be Perez. You're not going to kick Max out of there.
No. Say unless. Picture this. I completely lost track of what I was going to say then. Imagine, picture this. McLaren buy Norris out. And then suddenly you've got that free McLaren space.
You mean Red Bull by Norris out? Or Mercedes?
No, Mercedes.
Yeah, but you said McLaren by Norris, but hey ho.
Wow, and I have not been drinking today, am I? But yeah, imagine, as we say, Mercedes, if they decide to try and make a play for Norris, I mean, he's locked in a McLaren contract, but money talks.
And the problem is, the thing is, with Norris, you're gonna have either Mercedes or Red Bull fighting over him.
I don't think Red Bull would.
Oh, I think they would.
I think Red Bull have got a lineup that is working. I don't think you'd want to overly upset that apple cart until you absolutely have to.
Yeah, I know. But that's like I say, Max and Norris get on, and I mean Perez and Max do, but
I am not doubting that Norris and Red Bull will be a great package. I'm not doubting that for a second. I think Mercedes are trying to get there before them, because I think at the end of the day he's in the Mercedes family.
Well, yeah.
I've always said I couldn't see Merc taking Albon on because I think he's still got too many Red Bull links.
He's got probably too many Red Bull sponsorships.
But like I say, as we said, I mean, Hamilton did well. I mean, it was Vettel retiring the other year that exploded silly season. Hamilton's going to do it this time.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we had the lap 3, Max retired. About lap 15, when Hamilton's engine let go.
Yeah, and it
But
was
in a
like,
very weird fashion, because there was no smoke, there was no bang. It was just like somebody turned a key.
just shut down.
Now that'll hopefully mean it's nothing too catastrophic in this year of very limited engines and.
But it's. I think with the reliability this season is gonna be one of them things.
Hey, I'm all for a little less reliability and all that. 'Cause stuff like reliability, like making the tires a bit more difficult to work with. I think all of that's great
Hmm.
because that's what adds that little bit of spice, that little bit of variation that we otherwise struggle to get. 'Cause I mean, look at that. You had probably two of the top names retired from this race, and look at the difference we had.
Yeah.
You know, we had a cracking race. We had a real show. I will say, while we're mentioning McLaren, swapping them over wouldn't have been my choice.
The weird thing with McLaren though was they seemed to favour. They seemed to favour Oscar.
Yeah, they give him first pit stop both times.
Yeah.
But at the same time, for him to have got a podium in his home Grand Prix would have been a monumental moment, you know.
Yeah. But was Lando quicker? That's the thing, was Lando...
Well, once he passed him, he stayed ahead, so I guess you're right. The argument is yes, but...
That's what I mean. Was Lando faster than Oscar at that point?
Well, Lando said post-race, if he'd been given first pit stop, he reckons he could have called the next car in front. He could
Leclerc.
have called Leclerc.
Yeah. Yeah,
So, you know,
didn't quite get the strategy on...
I just, like I said, I'd let Oscar have that podium.
Yeah.
We're early enough in the championship that difference in points is not yet.
Hmm.
You know, if this is them showing for this season that they're favouring Norris, this is a very early time to make that call.
Yeah, but it's kind of weird because the fact that obviously Oscar was behind at the start, and it was just I don't know.
First pit stop, it was to do with the undercut, wasn't it? Because one of the cars behind them paid.
It was Russell, wasn't it?
Was it Russell? And in order to protect from, because the undercut apparently could be very strong around Albert Park.
Yeah, I think they were trying to protect themselves against Russell.
I think to an extent the Aston Martins as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a result, that was what gave them. But maybe it's just me, but
I don't know. Out of the two, I would have given probably Oscar the podium, and
well, I'd have given him the race it out. If you can get fast enough to get right up to him and pass him, go for it. Obviously, be careful, don't run into each other.
Yeah, don't do an Alpine.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have. Like I say, just the positive press you'd have got from Piastri coming home in third in front of his home fans.
Yeah.
And like I say, if this is them saying Norris is their choice for this year, they're making that call very, very early. And there's a lot of racing miles to be done between now and then.
Oh, yeah.
All it takes is a couple of DNFs from Norris, which don't have to be his fault.
No.
And it's all of a sudden back on. But that's just me. Maybe I'm reading more into it than I should.
I mean, Perez didn't really.
I think that's probably what we should be saying. Perez, considering Max was out, that should have been Perez's time to absolutely shine.
Yeah, and I don't.
And coming from me, he didn't.
Which is words out of your mouth that I never thought I would hear.
Oh no, I'm a fan of his. I'm also realistic.
Well, we know that.
You know what I mean? But
But it was the fact that, Perez started
were they also nursing his brakes a little bit with after what happened to
Mm.
Max's?
maybe. He started in 6th, but he finished 5th.
Yeah. I don't think Ferrari were there to be caught today. I think even if Max hadn't retired, I think he'd have had a fight on his hands today.
Oh, yeah, I'd say so.
But at the same time, as you say, it was.
And that's the thing that gets me because, they say, oh yeah, this Red Bull is quick, blah de blah de blah de blah. Well, if that's the case, why hadn't Perez been able to why didn't Perez make such an impact?
The Red Bull is the Red Bull is a very good car, and what the Red Bull's done really well is absolute reliability.
Yeah, well,
That's
Yeah.
well until it's just what I mean is that's where their big advantage has always been.
mm,
The car is quick enough. I mean, we've had 2 seasons where, like I say, Ferrari strategy became the butt of all our jokes.
well, yeah,
That's what Red Bull did right, was they combined a probably second or third best car with the absolute best team.
yeah,
Ferrari, in my opinion, Ferrari have had the quickest car for 2 years.
well, yeah,
It's just Leclerc, unfortunately, he's very quick on one lap, can struggle on a full race distance.
Mm.
And then, say, strategy's just not always been there.
no. And it was a way that, like, Sainz was saying, oh yeah, tyres were feeling good, go a bit longer, but then towards the end, his tyres did struggle.
Well, with Russell wanted at one point to talk about sending Russell to the end on the set of tyres he was on.
Yeah.
They give that idea over because he started losing too much time.
And then, I don't know, you really didn't see much of anything else that went on. It wasn't the best. I say it wasn't the best Australian Grand Prix. It's like,
No, it wasn't the best. As you know, I like Albert Park. I know you're less of a fan.
I am less of a fan, but that's me.
I like Albert Park. I do. I always enjoy that.
Williams got close, Williams got close to get a point at least, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. 2 Hasses actually scored points.
Both Aston Martins.
Yeah. 1 RB, 1 Red Bull, 2 McLarens, 2 Ferraris.
2 Ferraris.
And you wonder,
nearly 1 Mercedes, but
nearly a Mercedes, yes. I want to know I want to know your thoughts on that. If I'm honest, because
No, Mikey, no, Mikey, that was so not right.
sums it up better than I can. My thoughts.
Because I know we both like Alonso. That's all I'm gonna say. But
clearly, for some reason, he slowed into that corner more than usual. Now, I actually, for reasons we don't know, he claims they were having a brake issue, doesn't he?
I actually don't know. I didn't.
I caught an interview after the race, and he claimed they were fighting an issue with something in the car. Now, it's difficult because I don't doubt him, but at the same time, it's something that's very easy to say and very difficult to prove, or to prove wrong, should I say?
Yeah.
So he clearly slowed a lot, caught Russell out.
See,
and as Russell's car got close, obviously the aerodynamic meant he just took the wind off the rear wing.
Yeah.
And next thing, the back end steps out. He hits the wall. It just so happens, due to force, that the two tyres get dug underneath and that flips the car on its side.
But see, people obviously I don't know what's been entirely said, but did people obviously would turn around and say, well, Fernando brake checked him.
That's the fact that he got a penalty and points on his license. Obviously, I'd say that's what the FIA have decided.
Well, that's what I'm guessing. But
Now, don't forget once again, as we said before, they have access to telemetry and data that we don't.
yeah, exactly. But what with Russell, the whole thing was, did it catch him off guard, or was it just effects of being that close?
I think it was the effects because you saw the back end step out. It wasn't like he didn't swerve to avoid the back of Alonso's car. You saw he went to the bend and the back end stepped out. So I'm guessing suddenly being as close to the Aston Martin as he was, just took the air off the rear wing for a couple of seconds.
Yeah. I mean, it was it was nasty.
Oh, it was a major shun like, and it could have been so much worse. It was lucky that there wasn't a lot of cars still around on the track at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I know we'd talked briefly off before we started this, and it was like they, as you said to me, they have to make the decisions, but
Yeah, the timing of the FIA. Now, I'm maybe giving the FIA more credit than I should here. Now, to me, they couldn't just insta red flag you or anything like that. You've got to know exactly. If you throw a red flag the first time, it looks like something's happened. Without the facts, you're going to get yourself. You're going to get hung by the bloody teams.
yeah, but it wasn't the
Plus,
fact that
plus it's the last lap of the race. I mean, I say, as I see it, they'll have all been gearing up for the finish. Everything will have been set on the finish. All of a sudden, message comes through, whatever, crash at turn 6. Everyone's got to change the monitors over, got to flick to whichever cameras, whatever data they need.
yeah,
And I would imagine it's one of them things where not one person can say, right, it's a safety car. It's going to have to be I guess the head gets the final call, but it'll be a case where they'll all have to sort of say safety car or whatever. They won't just do it off one person's opinion.
no, but like I say, it took them quite a while to scramble that VSC. It was yellow flags instantly because the marshals reacted to it.
Well, that's it. The yellow flags aren't controlled by the tower; they're controlled by the marshals on the track.
Yeah, and the marshals had yellowed it, or double yellowed it, or whatever, as quickly as they could, because he couldn't see. I mean,
he couldn't see round it because he was the car. The car was on its side and was facing away from the flow of traffic.
Yeah. I mean, if you've not heard his radio message,
it's disturbing, I would say. It's not nice.
Actually listen to it. I mean, okay, yes, he's a racing driver, but they're not fearless. He was bricking it. He couldn't, because he was saying he couldn't see. He couldn't see any cars, which I get it. He was in the middle of the track, sort of.
Oh, he was. He was full on the middle of the track, so on his side,
with
the belly of the car facing oncoming traffic, just off the back of a bend. So any car coming round that corner at racing speed wouldn't exactly have 10 seconds of view to figure out what's happened and keep out of the way.
Yeah. I mean, they could have been a bit quicker with the VSC. Just a little bit quicker.
I'm not going to argue with you, but that shoulda, woulda, coulda game.
I know.
Can go on forever, and personally, I'm not a big fan of it, as you know.
I know, but they could have been quicker throwing the VSC. As soon as they saw, even if they heard his message, because he said he's on the side in the middle of the track. That should have been like, right, VSC. Not a red flag, but a VSC.
Plus, as I said again, it was the last lap, so if you'd have red flagged it, by the time the cars had all got round back to the pit lane,
Yeah.
things would have been over anyway. So you were at the point where something like a full-call safety car wouldn't have worked because he'd never have picked them up in time.
No. You know, just get a VSC. And yes, it neutralised the race. It was kind of a shame that Leclerc couldn't get a little bit closer on the end. Because Sainz wanted him to come up so they could celebrate it together.
Yeah.
But obviously he couldn't with it being,
Hmm.
you know, VSC. I mean, I'm not against it ending under the virtual safety car because of what had happened. I get that. You know, I'm not gonna be all keyboard warrior and go. You know
For
what I
once,
mean?
he saves that for complaining about Helmut Marko.
You had to bring that one up, didn't you?
Can you hear him foaming at the mouth as they say that name?
But it's like, you know what I mean? I'm not complaining that because I get it. Russell was in a very vulnerable position. But I tell you what, they were quick to get the bloody medical car to him.
Well, I think they really had to be in that situation.
But there was cars still going round, so how the hell did they get the medical car there so quick? Because did the
It was
medical
last
car...
lap.
Yeah, but did the medical car come from the other direction?
No, it came from the same direction as the flow of traffic.
That's what I say.
But it was last lap of the race. By the time it happened, Russell was round turn 6. Now, taking out any cars that were a lap down and therefore wouldn't have crossed the line before the checkered flag, there probably wasn't a lot of racing speed cars between the pit lane and there. I haven't seen telemetry data, so I can't say for definite, but...
Yeah. But it was just...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was...
They probably found even without the VSC at that time in the race, it wasn't considered the biggest problem just to let the medical car get out there and...
but they still had to... They still had to neutralise it because there was people on track.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. But to be fair, the race was kind of neutralising itself by that point, because like I said, it was the end of... It was the end of proceedings.
Yeah. It was... I don't know, it was just... It was a good race, but wasn't one of the best. I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to China. I am looking forward to Japan, but I'm also definitely looking forward to China. I mean, it's nice to have that come back on the calendar.
Yeah, I know, it's always a good circuit with China. That monster back straight.
Yeah. And I guess it's time to do one more thing, isn't it?
And what thing would that be?
Take a look at the F1 Fantasy. Don't forget, guys, that you can... I know we keep saying it, but please come and get involved with us. You can
come and join the private league and show us just how badly we're really doing.
Yeah, because you can, at the top of the Spotify or Amazon or wherever you get your podcast from, there is a link to join the podcast presenters versus listeners. And wow, Alan had a good one. I had a shocker. I had a major shock.
I think it was fascinating because I last looked at this just after I watched the race, and I'm guessing the results hadn't finalised yet. Because me and Alapa were tied on 120 points.
Yeah.
Now, they've obviously finalised, and he's won by 1 point.
Yeah, but look at my points.
Hey, I'm quite happy to see your points.
I'm not. Just put you ahead on the top, hasn't it?
I've been ahead since the start,
Oh, we fucking know this.
which put me like nearly 150 points ahead, which is nice.
Exactly.
I got lucky. I freaking magooed that one hard.
Right. So, Alan had Norris. Yeah.
Yeah.
Russell lost him 3.
Hmm.
He lost 20
On Max.
on Max. 38 Leclerc. 22 Perez. And he has Red... Oh, okay.
He used the limitless chip, so he's
Shit.
spent way more than the budget cap there.
Yeah, he used his limitless chip, so he got McLaren and Red Bull. Sneaky shit.
Well, I reckon he's not the driver. I reckon those drivers. Because look at that. Those drivers will cost you more than the budget cap.
Yeah,
If I compare that.
Alan lost 20 on Max because he had his 2 times down on him, whereas you only lost 10.
Alan normally has Gasly, Ricciardo, and Yuki, and RB and McLaren. He used the limitless and changed quite a few things.
Yeah.
And there's well, it's only by 1 point. The reason I say I got lucky is because I threw the autopilot chip down.
Yeah, I don't know what that does.
It automatically applies the ×2 to your best performing driver.
Alright, okay, so...
So on the weekend that Max bombs out and retires...
yeah.
And I did this about Tuesday last week.
I've already made my changes for Japan, don't worry about it.
I did this about last Tuesday. So I, for some reason, decided to throw that chip down, and it happened for the weekend when Max retired. That's why I only lost 10 points on Max.
Yeah.
And it automatically transferred the time. Shame we can't transfer it to teams. The ×2 on that Ferrari would have been nice.
Yeah. I mean, Max bombed me. I actually did. The only negatives I actually got
was Max. It's just all you others were
shit.
Not really though. Piastri and Leclerc. It's just. I've told you this is what I like about this year. The actual cost cap actually means that it's difficult.
Oh yeah, I know it's difficult. Too right, it's difficult.
But yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy. If you take the overall results, I'm now sitting nicely. We're very early on yet. I'm not going to start counting chickens.
We're very early on, and this is why I need to get back. Because, you know, you're 491. I'm 348, and Alan is 306.
He's only about 42 points behind you.
I know.
If you have another weekend like this at Japan,
I'm fucked.
He's passing you.
Exactly. So it's a case of, yeah, I do not want another bad weekend.
Well, I'll quite happily take another weekend like that one.
I hope not, to be honest. So have you got any sort of final thoughts before we round out?
I don't think so, really. I don't know if you've got anything. It's going to be interesting to see how it affects having Japan at this time of the year. I mean, we're used to having Japan at the back end, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, have they done that to avoid rainy season?
It could be just as bad. I think it's more they've managed to fit it in, and with those already being over that side, all this reducing carbon miles and that, you know.
Yeah, but the thing's still a bit screwed as it is. You know what I mean? The whole.
Oh, the calendar's still not great. We've said that all along. But say at the same time, just having it this time of year, that's going to change the situation a little bit. We're normally looking at championships being decided at Japan.
Yeah, which that's not happening this year. I mean, I get why they've done Japan and then China. You know,
Yeah,
the calendar's a bit silly, but it is because it's what was it, 24 this?
24 around the world in 24 races.
Yeah. But like I say, Australia was good, but it wasn't one of the best we've seen. That's my thoughts.
No, true enough. But at least it just shows the visibility for interest out there. When things don't quite go to plan for certain people, it does make it a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
Which is no bad thing.
I mean, imagine Max is going to want to come back at Japan. He's going to want to bounce back.
I would think he'll come back hard, yeah.
I mean, because that's one thing before we end. I want to have a look at the driver's standings. I want to see how close stuff is on the driver's standings at this point.
Yeah, go for it. Just bring it up myself.
Drivers. So there's a point. Oh, that's quite tight already.
Yeah, Max is still
At the
holding the
top.
lead, but
He's holding the lead, but not by a lot.
no. I mean,
Look at,
Sainz is only 11 behind.
yeah, but look at Leclerc and Perez,
Yeah,
and then Sainz between, he's only 5 and 6 between Perez and Leclerc, and then already you're going to see a team battle, I'm reckoning, between the two McLarens at this point.
probably are, yeah. Because I think Piastri's got the ability to take it to Russell.
Yeah. I mean, K-Mag's got a point. Hulkenberg's got 3 points. That's funny, Yet again, there's 21. There's 21 drivers in the driver championship, and Behrman will be the one that ends up probably finishing. I mean, that would be funny, but it's not going to happen. If Behrman could keep 12, that would be funny, but I know that's not going to happen.
Well, we know he's not going to finish last with 6 points. There'll be somebody who'll get
No.
less than that.
Yeah.
So he's not going to finish last, which is great, and he's not actually in the championship. But
Yeah, but because
hopefully that's the best testament he can do for what you should be in it next year.
That's what I mean, because he's actually classed and he classified as points.
Yeah.
Even looking at the Constructors' Championship at this moment, it's going to be, at the moment, the battle is going to be between Red Bull and Ferrari. I know it's early. Yeah. I know that sounds daft, early season, but considering that Red Bull's on 97, Ferrari's 93, then McLaren is 55 at this moment. So McLaren at this moment are sitting comfortably.
Oh yeah.
The main battle at this moment is between Red Bull and Ferrari. Unless Mercedes can pick up, unless Aston Martin can pick the hell up, you could have a top 5 battle, but at the moment it's only a 2-horse race of the Constructors' Champ standings at this point in the season, I will say.
No, I agree with you.
But Drivers' Championship this year, well,
it's a bit early to be trying to call that one.
I'm going to say Max isn't safe at this moment.
No, he's got to be the favourite, but
he'll be the favourite. But
there's a lot of ground to cover in between, yeah.
But considering from him, it's going to be at this point, it's top 4.
Yeah.
Any one of them.
I wouldn't rule out the McLarens.
Right. Okay, we'll say top 6 then.
I wouldn't rule them out, honestly. No. But we've got a lot more ground to cover before we find out.
We have. So obviously, as you know, these come out whenever there's a race on a Wednesday at 3 p.m. UK time. And the next race weekend is not this weekend, weekend after. 5th of
Yeah.
April.
This weekend's Easter weekend, so happy Easter, everyone.
Yeah. Happy Easter. And don't eat too much chocolate if you celebrate Easter.
No such thing.
I know there isn't. So obviously, thank you to everybody for listening, and thank you to David for joining.
Pleasure as always.
Don't forget, you can get involved with the F1 Fantasy League. Link for that is in the description. Obviously, you know where you get your podcasts. And we shall see you next time. So until then,
Later, folks.
goodbye for now.